What's up, everybody? This is Henry Fleischer here from the Cannabis Dispatch, also the CBD Business Networking group on Facebook, and I have a very special guest today. I have Harold Jarboe of Tennessee Homegrown. So, Harold, tell us a little bit about Tennessee Homegrown.
Tennessee Homegrown is a soil-to-shelf company that started our first year of having product on the shelf was in 2016. I actually started farming hemp in 2015, and we have evolved through, a myriad of changes, but we're basically trying to be a little niche company that is more batch, artisan than size. And we're now in about 60 some stores in about 7-8 states, and we supply about 8 companies for their own products. We supply a lot of edible companies.
Oh, awesome. So when did you start Tennessee Homegrown?
Well, I started in 2015, but did not know it was going to end up being Tennessee Homegrown. I went through the first year. I had bad investors who, when they saw that it was going to take a while to be able to establish a profit model, yanked out. And then in fall 2015, Lee Crabtree, which is the co-owner of Tennessee Homegrown, wandered into my life, and we realized that we hit it off. We had similar ideas on what we thought a good cannabis product ought to be, and also ideas on soil and things like that, because we do organic soil probiotic, and we started growing and trying to get products. And by the end of 2016, we finally had some stores that were putting it on the shelf. But then, like all companies, we were, incrementally growing until 2018, and then it just all blew up.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool. What was it that made you want to go into this business as well, too?
And when I was 17, I stumbled onto a wild cannabis plant and was totally infatuated with how it looked. And at that point, I was like 17, and I realized I wanted to grow this plant. So we're talking about the late 70s. It was extremely hard to find anybody in any sort of official capacity. Luckily, when I was going to college in Bloomington, Indiana, I found some guerrilla grad students who were organic chemists, and we started actually doing some processing and analyzing what the heck was in there. And, like I said, I tried to see how a way to do it. I realized I didn't want to become a pharmacist just to grow cannabis. So we, like so many people, started growing high THC cannabis clandestinely, because that was the only way to have anything to do with the plant until the late 90s. And then, and then I started actually being able to travel to places to talk to people who were legally in it. I know this is rather cliche, but a lot of trips to Amsterdam just to be able to meet people who were kind of growing without anybody looking over their shoulder. Fast forward 2012, Washington State and Colorado legalized. And that's when I decided I wanted to become a legal cannabis farmer, and had actually run into some people in 2013 at Columbia River Cannabis, which was originally up in Bridgeport, but now is in Othello, Washington, and started working with them and realizing the reality of the cannabis business. One of the things that all the compliancy costs, the onerous 280E, which tells you what you can and cannot deduct legally. And then 2014, out of the blue, they legalized in Tennessee, which at the time was kind of where I was situated most of the time, because, believe it or not, I was doing music videos at the time, because it gave me an opportunity to be able to travel and do. And I walked into the Tennessee Department of Agriculture in summer 2014. I said, "Can I grow hemp for cannabinoids?" And the dear sweet man said, son, we don't care what you do as long as you don't go over 0.3 delta 9 THC, which is all I needed to hear. So we started in 2015 with totally unrealistic expectations, because in Tennessee, there was no infrastructure. There was nothing. I mean, no labs, no qualified people. And so we got dinged. I mean, we grew a bunch. Nobody wanted to buy it. Ended up trading a bunch of it for free range meat and eggs. In 2016, we got a little bit better, but we actually had a crop that we could start monetizing, and it was overcoming bad genetics, all these things. But finally, like I said, by 2018, we had established product.
You sit at the desk.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I missed. Oh, I was going to ask you too. Yeah. What was the toughest thing that you went through when you first opened up?
All right, customer receptivity and bad genetics.
Yep. Oh, there's just those two things?
Yeah, I mean, we were totally, Tennessee is very hot. It's humid. It's also at about 31 degrees latitude. And we were forced to buy genetics out of Canada at the time, and they simply auto-flowered. I mean, 21 days into the ground, because of the photo period, was so much shorter than it was in Canada. And then we found some Italian genetics, which are fiber hemps that released dioecious and had a 6-7% CBD level. And then finally, we had something we could process. That was the other thing that did not exist in Tennessee, is that the people who originally said that they were going to come in and try to build processing facilities, when they saw that the market was stressed and there really wasn't enough material there to make any money to process, they pulled out. So we had to literally learn everything: processing, bottling, marketing. And then the final hurdle, of course, was marketing. And but I realized early on, since I'd done music videos, that you had to market before you had product. And hence the old hemp farmer, my alter ego, I started that in 2014 as a marketing vehicle.
Oh, wow.
And based loosely, since we were a small farm in Middle Tennessee, I hope Jack Daniels didn't get too hacked off. We basically ripped off their Lynchburg ad campaign. Are you familiar with that?
No.
All right. Up to the point where Jack Daniels started doing their Lynchburg campaign, you showed people in nice locations and hot women and cars, and how it was going to change your lifestyle and how you were cool if you drank this liquor. Jack Daniels went to Lynchburg and showed ordinary people, the workers of Jack Daniels. That's what became the stars of their ad campaigns for several years. Turned Lynchburg into a destination, tourist destination. But it was the people. It wasn't, glamour shots of product. It was people. And then we realized that in a world where you can spend huge amounts of money trying to do slick campaigns, when it all said and done, it's being able to relate to your customer on a one-to-one basis. And they could relate to a small farm in the middle of nowhere trying to make a living growing cannabis the best they could. And that's kind of what we put forth.
Oh, cool. Is there anything you would do different if you had to start from day one, again, knowing everything you know?
No, not too much, because we couldn't have. That was the only thing might have been different, is to try to have maybe done a little bit more nationally in 2018. But pretty well no. I mean, it's been, cannabis right now is so dynamic that it's about being reactive and being able to change to an environment as quickly as possible and continually gauging the customer. And the biggest thing was, we had product before there was, the Sanjay Gupta stuff on CNN And there was this sea change of awareness of the positive aspects of cannabinoids.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. What would you say too right now? What's the toughest part about being in this business in 2021?
Marketing. Most of the people still have what I call the field of dreams marketing concept, which is build it and they will come. I work occasionally as a consultant, not because I seek that work. It's just people say, well, and I said, well, if you're going to take my time, you're going to have to pay me. And one of the first questions I ask them is, how much money do you have for marketing? And they look like I'm a Martian or something. And I said, you know, any pharmaceutical company spends anywhere from 45% of their total budget for marketing. And if you can't effectively craft a message and be able to have a dialogue about your company that the people that you're trying to sell to can readily relate to, you're toast.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, if the customer was to choose between your business and three others just like yours, why'd you suggest they give you a try first?
Right, which is exactly what it is. And
Yeah.
and then also, how long have you been in this business?
No, yeah. So like I've had like before, like I just like kind of like just started, but like I've always loved cannabis, but this is just like I built this community to make sure everybody does everything right, you know?
Yeah. The reason I'm asking you is because me and you would not have had a conversation about D8 a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the perfect example of a phenomena that is totally customer driven. I mean, I remember the first time I got a phone call and they said, do you guys have D8? And I said, well, we have little bits of it because we've got full spectrum. They said, no, do you have D8 products? And it was just like all of a sudden we had to really pivot, find out how, you know, your protocols for being able to make it, what it was, how you could test for it and all that, and had to do it in a relatively small time. I mean, seriously, within 2 months of hearing about this phenomena, we had done research and had product.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's kind of what you have to do in this business.
Oh,
Is,
yeah.
I mean, for one thing, as my partner Lee Crabtree has said many times, you get up in the morning, you turn on your computer and see if somebody passed a law that changed your profit model. And it's that simple. We have no idea what the legislative future is going to be, what the rules and regulations are. So being able to adapt to a world like that is paramount. It really is.
Oh, of course. I know, yeah. The Delta 8's getting banned in a lot of different states now, too.
Well, but if you notice, most of the states that have banned it already have recreational or medical marijuana.
Yeah, it's true. Like Colorado.
New York,
Yep.
Michigan, and it's a matter of money. I mean, let's face it, I don't have to do 280E, and my compliancy cost basically is less than a couple $1,000s a year. Whereas if I was doing recreational marijuana, that could be 20 times that. And then on top of it, I can't deduct anything after production.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really is a different market. So, and all while trying to get better products every year. I mean, that's one of the things. The stuff that we were selling as flour 2.5 years ago wouldn't even get in a store now.
Uh-huh.
Because after a couple of years, the consumer gets more educated, their taste gets better, they know what good flour is versus bad flour. And so we, you know, like up until this year, we were trying to grow flour, smokable flour, outdoor. And in Middle Tennessee, we could do really, really good smokable flour, but we couldn't do great flour. So this year we've transitioned into all our smokable flour will be grown indoor. And that's strictly because the standards of smokable flower have gone up that much.
Oh, got it. What's the number one way you currently bring in new customers?
Internet. I mean, my God, if you're not working, you're not doing algorithm, social network sites, then and SEO, you're dying. And it's probably, like I'll say it again, most of the people trying to market are very unsophisticated, and they do not realize that if you want to market our type of product, and I'm talking about cannabis products, you have to do a cross-platform marketing campaign that integrates both traditional marketing, print, podcast, then with, like I said, algorithm-driven SEO. And it all has to be cohesive. And then on top of that, you have to have compelling content. It's no longer enough to buy sponsored ads on Facebook or Google or whatever, because, okay, you get them there. You got to have something that when they get there, they stay there for 10 seconds.
Oh,
And that doesn't sound like a lot. Get someone to stay on something for 10 seconds on an internet, whatever. If you got them 10 seconds, then you have a chance to be able to do a click through and then actually get some page views.
oh, yeah, got it. Oh, so in terms of like the internet too, like which platforms have had the biggest development in your growth?
It's hard. That's the thing about it, is there is no holy grail. You're going to get your over 40-year-old demographics. You're going to find them on Facebook because they don't do Instagram. The people that are under 40, you're going to have to find them on Instagram. Then you're also going to have to do Google, because it all depends on what handheld or desktop device you have, and then your age and demographic. So if you're not trying to mine all the demographics and do it in a niche demographic format, I mean, you cannot do shotgun marketing anymore. You can't put one ad out there and think you're going to reach everybody. And if I hear one more person say, I'm going to, I want to do a viral campaign, my brain will rip out of my head and go and chew them. You can't plan viral.
Oh, yeah, very true. And if you had to take a look 6 months to a year into the future, where would you like to see your business?
I'd like to see my internet sales go up to probably 25 to 30%, because I still think the transition from what I call destination shopping, and do you understand what I mean by destination shopping?
Yep.
Okay. Expecting people to get in a car and drive any amount of miles to go into a store for a single product is delusional. It is. You have to be able to have foot traffic that's generated organically other than cannabis if you have a brick and mortar. Our biggest sellers of our product, as far as the brick and mortars, are organic groceries. And it's a reason why. It's a lifestyle niche demographic. Plus, we're going to have people who know that I can go to the turnip truck, which is one of our we have 3 of those organic. They can go there, they can get a hot meal, they can get their kale, they can get a 6-pack of their favorite craft beer, and they can either get a topical, pre-roll, or a cart all at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we really see. And then also, we're trying to do more cross promotion with the people that, like I told you, we supply a few edibles companies and stuff like that, and then trying to do more cross promotion with them.
Oh, got it. So yeah, what is your best selling product then?
Once again, it all depends on where it's sold. If it is sold online, it is generally our 1,000 milligram, 1 ounce, 1,000 milligram full spectrum tincture. If it is in stores like smoke shops and stuff like that, it's carts. actually in our organic grocery, our edibles do the best. So, and that's one of the things that people have to realize this, you really do have to tailor your campaigns and where you're going to sell. I mean, let's face it. I don't think when anybody first started CBD that they thought there was going to become a recreational CBD market. But you have a bunch of the people that are buying the flower that has high amounts of THCA in it. They're copping a buzz on it. So it's different from somebody who's 64 years old who has acute rheumatoid arthritis.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So you can't market to them the same way.
Oh, yeah. Like every like CBD business has a different target market too. Like there are some like little target pets. There's like fitness people,
Yeah.
elderly people with health issues. Everybody, yeah, it's all different.
We when we first started, me and Lee said we would never have more than 7 products ever. I think we're up to 29. And the reason why we're up to it is that once you get into it and you have customers in stores saying, look, I got these people asking for it because this is the particular form and carrier, they enjoy your cannabinoids, you have to end up doing it. I mean, it's, I never foresaw doing carts. Never did. It would seem like it was a pain in the butt, cost us more in liability insurance. But once you have X amount of people that ask for it, you're compelled to make that product.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what do you think the next hot product is going to be within the CBD space in terms of like edibles?
Well, it's all right. I don't think there's going to be a hot product, and I don't, and then people think there's going to be a hot product that I just can't go with that. There are always going to be niche markets. I mean, like right now we do gummies, chocolate. We're getting ready to do a couple other products, but it's like, okay, what's a hot candy? Because that's what you're saying. What's going to be a hot food? And if it is hot, it's only going to be hot for a while. Kimchi, ramen, but back to the staples, you're going to have chocolate, gummies, cookies, brownies. That's always going to be the backbone of cannibal edibles.
Yeah, but I was going to ask, I meant too, is like more on the savory side of things too. I feel like, yeah.
How much have you delved into D8?
Yeah, I haven't personally used it. Like I've only used like THC and then the CBD, but I've definitely tried D8. So offer it up to me.
One of the phenomena that is totally customer driven that we have found out, and it especially occurred to us when we started selling D8 into recreational states, is there's a huge segment of the population that likes to do edibles, but they feel that doing Delta-9 edibles is sort of like doing Russian roulette, is because you never know the time that you do it, that you may do too much, and it's no longer fun. Which is one of the weird thing about Delta-9 edibles. I can do the same amount 2 or 3 times, puts me in a good place. And then that 4th time, I can take the same amount and an hour and a half, 2 hours into it. I'm just not having as much fun as I thought I was going to have. Mm-hmm. The thing that the Delta-8 is a champ at and really does a fantastic job at is being able to do 20, 30 milligrams of it. And if you do get too high, you don't get anxious. You might get glued to your couch. And the Weather Channel might be more interesting and has been in weeks, but you're not going to think, oh my God, I'm too high. I think I need to go to the emergency room. And so the thing that a lot of the D9 users have found out, the D8 just fits their lifestyle so much better. And it really is sort of strange when you look at when D8 came about. It came about in the year of COVID. And I think it's a cannabinoid kind of for its time. It's not too heavy like Delta-9, but it gives you much more of a punch than what CBD does. Sort of like the mama bear of cannabinoids. Not too hot, not too cold. And so this is fit a bunch of people's lifestyle to where that CBD didn't quite give them that oomph as far as relaxing you, and also pain relief. That's the other thing we found out with D8. A bunch of people find better pain relief with the Delta 8 than they do with the CBD, especially things like fibromyalgia. So if you look at it, Delta 8 is a baby cannabinoid. You know, Delta 9's been around for 8,000 years. CBD, as we know it here, 20 some years. Delta 8 is 1.5 years old. So people are still learning it and also learning where it fits into their life.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, there's still more cannabinoids they haven't even discovered yet, too. So that'll be another interesting development.
Exactly. One of the things that occurred to me during the last year or so is that, and because when Delta came, I have worked professionally with people who do Delta 9 out west in Washington State and Colorado, and they all said it's going to be a fad. That when people have the choice to do Delta 9, they're not going to do Delta 8. And the thing that occurred to me was, no, you're wrong. The only reason they never did Delta 8 to begin with is they never had access to it. So you were mentioning minor cannabinoids. I don't know if the cannabis consumer has ever had the ability to walk into one store and have access to all the cannabinoids they might want in all the forms they wanted. I mean, it was like people, when CBD flower hit, that was another thing. It hit us left field. We had no idea that we're going to be actually people who liked smoking hemp flower. But what it was is that people had never had access to it. So they didn't know whether they liked it or not. Once they had access to it, they were like, I like this. And it was the same thing with D8. Once people had access to it, there's 18-20% of the people who were doing Delta 9 who went, hey, I actually like this better.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, 'cause not everybody wants to have that big extreme high. Some of them just want that light high. So I definitely see like that's why their Delta 8's here to stay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're a parent, I mean, you know, you can't get too zoned out because you never know when one of your kids is going to decide to stage dive down the steps.
Yep.
And also the other thing it doesn't mess with your short-term memory as bad.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've heard about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, that's definitely another thing too. Even on the industrial side of hemp as well, where do you see that headed?
Oh my God, it's going to be god awful for a couple of years. It really is. I read an article this morning in Hemp Industry Daily about how Texas thinks they're going to dominate hemp. And it's like, how do you dominate a market that has a 2-year supply? Seriously. Don't mess with Texas. They're going to go down there and grow thousands and thousands of acres of hemp when the people that have been in this business continually keep growing less every year. So until we can get the green rush people out of this, people who think that they're going to be the exception and not the rule. I was in a room a couple years ago when the oversupply started happening, and I won't mention the state, but the agricultural department, the head of it came out and said, we see the price of biomass plummeting to the lowest points it's ever going to be, and went and cited every reasons why the market was going to be saturated and was going to tank. And he said, we know some of you people have already put down your money for a license, and if you want, we'll resend it and give you your money back. I was in a room with 80 some people, and not one person got up and decided, you know what, that's sensible, and I'm going to get out and I'm going to watch. And the only thing I could figure out, in that room of 80 people, they thought they were going to be the only one in the room that didn't apply to. They were going to be the exception. They were going to be able to get in, learn how to grow it, learn how to package it, learn how to process it, learn how to market it, and where other people couldn't. And the only thing I can make the analogy to is gold mining. Somehow people will do the most irrational things, investing money in gold mining because of that shiny color. And I think it has to do something with the gold. The green, I'm going to get to hang out with buds all day.
Mm-hmm.
And because over the last 3 years, I've probably gotten hired 8 times as a consultant, and invariably out of the 8 that I got consulted, I told them they were undercapitalized and ill prepared to be able to come into the cannabis sector at this point. Out of the 7, 4 of them took my advice. 3 didn't. They went on and lost a bunch of money. 2 out of the 4, I later got an email from them, said, quote, "Best money I ever spent was paying you to tell me not to do this."
Oh, wow.
And that's where we are. Because if you look at any hemp industry daily, hemp grower, in fact, hemp grower, yesterday, I have a podcast called Full Contact Cannabis. Yesterday, we had the editor of Hemp Grower Magazine on, and their issue is, what do we do about the oversupply of hemp? Mm-hmm. So, yet, I guarantee you there'll probably be 75, 80,000 acres of hemp grown in the United States this year, when the whole North American market for cannabinoids can be supplied with 30,000 acres or less.
Oh, yeah, that's really interesting.
It is. We talk, you want to do a little self-promotion for you. What is it exactly you guys do?
Oh, so with our group, we want to make we're making it a safe haven for everybody to connect with everybody in the industry and make sure it's like, hey, we're going to be the top people in this industry as it keeps growing. I know we're already in a growing industry, but once the regulations are set and everything.
Why do you think that the people in the hemp industry don't network more?
I think part of it, some of them may have had bad experiences before with some people who didn't have the best intentions, or I think maybe because of some of the restrictions in place too with how they can market, like they're at a stuck point about what to do.
One of the things I noticed about the first hemp growers in our area is that they were entrepreneurial and were, God, nice way. They wanted to build their own kingdoms, their own companies and everything. So therefore, they really weren't looking to build any, what do you want to say it, alliances or things like that. And yep. I still find that ego has a huge place in cannabis.
You could say that in a lot of businesses though too.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to be the biggest. I'm going to be the best. And in fact, that's what. How familiar you are with Kentucky and Tennessee as far as processing and things like that?
Oh yeah, I'm not because I'm in the north, so I'm not as familiar with those places.
All right.
Yeah.
Large scale in 2015, 2016, we had a bunch of people came in and decided they were going to do large scale, and they were going to be the biggest and all that, and basically kind of dominate the market, and got slaughtered. Gincana, Bluin. We think in the last 2 years in the states of Tennessee and Kentucky, there's been over $130 million lost trying to process and package CBD. That's a huge amount of money.
Oh, it is.
And all that was done by people who were successful in other aspects of their life and thought that whether they were good at real estate or this or that, that the job skills would transfer, and they didn't. And cannabis is its own.
Cooper from Friday.
Yeah. I think it's like you can't be attached to a certain way of doing things well. It's like you always it's different every time you apply yourself to a new field, you know?
Well, yeah, and it's also people don't realize this is a baby industry.
Oh, of course. It's like we're still in the Wild West period.
Oh gosh. I mean, if you can imagine what oil was like in the first 10, 15 years of the oil industry or steel industry or automotive industry. It's you know, rules are being made, egos, and the greed factor is, I mean, and that was, I think, part of the problem is you had too many people who got up in front. I don't know how you feel about expos and conferences. They have been as good for cannabis as they have been bad. And the fact that you had people who would stand up in front of a crowd and tell you can make $50,000 an acre. And then they think to themselves, well, I got 20 acres. I can make $1 million. And too many people went and chased it. And you just got mangled. It's an industry where those that don't know can be taken advantage of easily.
Oh, yes, it's true. I think the other problem is people are seeing, you can make a big profit in this industry, and they're only going for that purpose when it should be other reasons. It's being cannabis. I think you have to have a passion for the plant and it's all its benefits.
Well, also there's that myth that there's a large margin. The margins are gone now. That's the thing people don't realize. The margins that, I'm sorry, we all love 2018, 2019, but it's 2021. And that's the thing about it is the margins are gone. And right now, if you're not an extremely good business person, it's like cheeseburgers. I mean, how many people sell cheeseburgers? A lot. How many people make good money selling cheeseburger? Just a few. And it's the same thing.
Oh, yeah. It's like go ahead.
Well, and now the newest growth industry in cannabis is people who swear that they can increase your sales 5 to 10 times, online. And it's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. So and Google, Facebook are taking advantage of it, and they're making millions.
Because you mentioned about the cheeseburger things too. I was going to mention how McDonald's, they didn't just sell cheeseburgers; they had the real estate in their business model as well too.
Yeah, but even then, even McDonald's has had to adapt. I mean, let's face it. You want to do the evolution. Their first burger was not a Big Mac. Big Mac is a result of Burger King having the Whopper. Also, they never started with a fish sandwich, which now they have. Breakfast foods, all that is trying to stay relevant, all while making sure, because there are two ways in cannabis to make money. You can either make it on the margin or you can make it on the amount of units you sell.
Yep.
McDonald's has decided we're going to have a small margin, but we're going to sell millions daily. Whereas our company at Tennessee Homegrown, we can't do that. We don't have the ability. We don't have the financing to try to open up 500 stores. I mean, so what we have to do is to find that niche demographic for the same people that are willing to pay $3 or $4 more for organic kale from a farmer they know. That's our market. And so we try to stay in our lane. And then that's the other thing is constantly making a better product. Whereas cannabis business is probably not too much different than the beer business. You have most people, when they make a purchase of cannabis, are looking for the most bang for the buck. But when it's a special occasion, just like with beer, now if it's a special occasion, a birthday of the weekend, they'll pay more to get their craft beer. So that's kind of the mentality that we have, that we want to be the cannabis product that when you want to celebrate with somebody you care, or you're feeling special, or you kind of want to spoil yourself, you buy Tennessee Homegrown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like our chocolate bar, right? I think we're probably one of the few edible companies in the United States. Our chocolate bar is made with 74% organic chocolate.
Oh, what?
Also, instead of soy lecithin, sunflower lecithin. Instead of being sweetened with corn sugar, it is sweetened with turbinado sugar. The vanilla in it's not vanilla extract, it's vanilla bean.
Ooh, you're making me hungry.
So, but what I'm saying is, now it's a bar at retail that is $18 to $20 for basically a little bit under 3 ounces. 100, of course, it's 100 milligram D8 or 250 milligram CBD, but that may not be for something to do every day. But like I said, but if you want to spoil yourself, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, who's your like ideal customer as well, too?
Again, it's the person who will pay more money because they can buy it from a farmer they know and trust. I mean, it is. You're right now, I'm sure that wherever you are in the Nashville area, the big thing with the upscale restaurants is they practically introduce you to the head of cattle that you're going to eat. They tell you exactly where the farmer is, the type of beef that it is. All those things are part of, that whole locavore sort of thing. And that's us. We want people, like I said, one of the things that, like what I said about our marketing thing, we stress our place and our people and our process.
Mm-hmm.
I always love how people do that when they want to do their CBD products. They have somebody in a lab jacket and, goggles. No, yep. That's sterile. No, we're people. We are people because we make our products as if we're for us. I mean, and that may sound selfish, but I want a bar that I want. I don't want a bar because it's got a cheaper margin. And I think people realize that. And also, Lee Crabtree said, it was a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, all of a sudden if you won the lottery. And he said, I'd do the same thing. I just wouldn't have to worry about customers.
Uh-huh. Ah, gotcha. So yeah, what advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about entering like the hemp or cannabis space as well?
Work backwards. If you can't sell it, don't grow it, don't make it, don't package it. This all boils down on your ability to be able to relate to customers, access customers, and be able to deliver the products that the customers want. So unless you delve into the marketplace, like I have, when these people call me up for advice, they said, well, do you know how much a kilo of distillate goes for? No. Do you know how much a pound of smokable flower goes? No. Do you know how many stores are in your area that sell this product? No. I said, then you don't have any business growing hemp or making hemp products. You have, it is. It'd be like how many farmers do we know that grow soybeans, wheat, or corn that don't have a good idea about where they're going to be able to sell it? Or that don't get up every morning and see what the current price of corn, soybeans, and wheat are. And it is. Right now, cannabis has become a commodity. And you have to treat it, which means you have to become a business person first.
Oh, that's some good advice right there. It was great having you on. If there's anything new with your business, any new products, you're more than happy to come along and we can cover you there.
Like I said, I enjoyed talking with you. We're constantly doing new products because we're nerds. I'm serious, and which is also one of the things we found out. Just because you can put CBD and D8 in almost anything doesn't necessarily mean you should. I know you're going to have to wrap this up because we've been talking a while, but I actually had someone pitch me a couple of weeks ago on D8 hot dogs.
What?
And I thought they were punking me. He said, no, we'll call it D8 dogs. They'll be 8-inch long, and each dog will have 25 milligrams of D8 in it. And it was just like, and it was like, okay, good luck, get back with me. You need a D8, we're here. So
that's an interesting, I never heard of that. That's something that's really out of the box.
Well, but people are trying to do toothpaste now, mouthwash.
Oh, I spoke with Howard Kaufman. He's in the group. He has his own CBD oral care line. So yeah. CBD does it has health benefits for the mouth as well too. So yeah. It's never ending the benefits. It's almost like it's a magic plant.
Are we winding this up? So I need to tell people how they can get a hold of us.
Oh yeah. How can somebody get a hold of you?
All right. For one thing, it's Tennessee Homegrown, which is tnhomegrown.com. Our podcast is called Full Contact Cannabis, and we're on Google Play, Apple, Podbean, and then you can also reach the Old Hemp Farmer on Facebook. I have a site there, and I really do appreciate you guys having me on, and I hope that in the future we can do this again.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, like I say, you're more than welcome to be back on.
So, Harold Jarboe, Tennessee Homegrown, thanks a bunch.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.